All right. Greetings, fellow TFFL owners. Welcome back to another TFFL webcast. It's not Wednesday. It's actually Thursday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you today. 2017 we are in now. And officially, I think we are now into the 2017 TFFL season. We're no longer in the postseason of 2016. The NFL draft has happened. We've got new toys coming into the TFFL. We've got a clearer sense of what some of our keeper decisions might start to look like now. The off season is taking shape. We're going to talk a lot about it tonight. Lay some groundwork for the months ahead. First, let me introduce our panel, as always, starting with our commissioner, skipper of the Sponge Fishermen. Chief, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Good to see all of you.
No longer our however many time defending champs, but nonetheless, the team everybody loves to hate, Jack's Giant Killers. Berto, welcome.
Hi, Stick. Happy birthday, Michael Giovenco, too.
Yes, Michael Giovenco.
Happy anniversary to me and the missus, and to the Berkmans.
Yes.
Same anniversary as us. And,
all kinds of celebratory reasons.
Hank, welcome from the K-Wheels.
Thank you very much. I like the comment about Berto being the team you love to hate, so that makes him the bad guy. I like the idea of Berto's the bad guy of TFFL.
Sure. Bring it on. That's fine.
Yeah. Own it.
What
Yes.
has changed with that dynamic with me and you, Phil? Nothing. Except this nice, brand new, nice killer shirt.
I'm jealous of this, that you have your own, crest and coat of arms.
It has my monogram right in the middle. You can mail me one. I'll wear it with pride.
Nice.
Right. We got JGK right there.
Is that your middle initial, Chief?
The former Cells days.
I am John George.
Nice.
I know.
Perfect.
Berto, at the risk of sounding like a Fox News executive, can you spin for us? There is something on the back of that shirt.
I don't know if you can see that.
I'll assume it's official, Eric.
That is the titles. The Pac Bowl Championship.
And the beanstalk, very nice.
Yes.
All right. Let's throw out our first trivia question of the season. Hank, are you going to start keeping score for 2017 here?
I will. I'm just trying to just choke down the vomit in my mouth from the back of that shirt.
All right. So this is not the most complicated question, but it's I think appropriate with all of the draft news we're going to talk about. Some initial TFFL mock draft speculation. I've already started to put together my first mock draft of the year. The first round of our 2017 mock draft, to me, looks like we will have 0 wide receivers go off the board. I think I have 2 tight ends in there, but 10 rookie running backs. A lot of good rookie running backs this year. So here's my question. Looking back to last year's draft, for those of you who can remember it, how many receivers went in the first round? How running back heavy was last year's draft? I'll give you a point if you can get within one of the correct answer.
So how many receivers drafted?
How many receivers went in last year's draft?
Ah, shit.
No peeking.
No peeking.
And we're starting the clock over as of tonight, or is it still preseason questions?
I think we can count this as our first one.
Okay.
Now we're gonna play. Let's play.
All right.
Okay, for our roundtable chat tonight, let me, Chief, I don't know if you answered me when I asked a moment ago. Forgive me if I didn't hear you. I did want to bring up the TFFL rules process. Do you want to quickly try to address that now or later during commissioner rants and reminders?
I have nothing to report. I will address it neither here nor there. I will not address it anywhere.
Am I correct that we have not voted?
That is correct.
Okay, good. I will leave it at that then. Maybe we won't have a...
Bill, much like Donald Trump, had some tax issues. So first we had to wait for tax day. Now I don't know what the holdup is, but I'll get out. No, everybody's complaining. What's the rush? What's the hurry? We have all spring, summer. Now it's early May, and we're starting to plan the season. You probably know the rules they're playing under, so we'll get that taken care of in short order.
I think, as you noted, part of the holdup was some big free agency revamping that Rich has been proposing.
On the FAIR process, yes.
So, Rich, if you're part of that, I know you had a proposal you were trying to shape with a variety of people. I think I largely ignored some of your pleas to help shape that. Doesn't mean I'm not interested in seeing it come up for a vote, but let's get that done and let Bill get on with the conclusion of the rules process. Okay, let's talk players. Let's talk rookies. We had a lot of skill position players go off the board way early in the NFL draft. A lot of guys coming in who are going to be exciting new players for us. As I said, I think our first round is going to be dominated by a lot of these rookie running backs coming in. As Chief talked about on email before we got on the air here, one of the themes of our webcast here tonight is going to be who got screwed in the TFFL by all these rookies coming in. Let's talk a little bit about this. And Chief, I had you at the top of my list here. The Saints keep taking touches away from Mark Ingram, who had a pretty good year last year, maybe his best year. They bring in Adrian Peterson. They draft Alvin Kamara, probably to be their pass catching back. I don't know. There's much to say, but ouch.
Yeah, it's not ideal. But he's never been, in the last couple of years, he's never been the bell cow. He's always had a guy there, Kyrie Robinson, Tim Hightower, Darren Sproles, right? He's always been in and out of the lineup pretty frequently. That's obviously not going to change. Maybe with Adrian Peterson there, who also hasn't been the paragon of health, maybe it keeps him fresher. I don't know. I mean, he's a keeper, and we just have to see how it plays out. But yeah, it's I wasn't very happy to see either the signing or the draft, really.
For the Senators, the top rookie running back is Leonard Fournette. He goes to the Jaguars. That also dings the sponge to some extent with Chris Ivory, but I didn't have him as a keeper for you anyway. But the Senators lose T.J. Yeldon, who they took third overall 2 years ago. The Senators have a fairly weak keeper list as it is, and then Yeldon takes a big shot. I wouldn't be keeping Yeldon, but I think he's probably the number 7 guy on the Sens, but they don't have anybody else. So I've got him plugged in there for now over Giovanni Bernard.
You have Bernard not being kept?
Not being kept at the moment.
Not being kept, yeah.
You have Jack Rogers being kept?
Rogers, I do not have being kept. Is he on the Senators?
I must be missing somebody then. So I do have both of those guys, Yeldon and Bernard, being kept.
Amir Abdullah.
Yeah,
it's really hard finding. I mean,
yeah, but is
you
this
got Brady, Yeldon, Abdullah, Bernard, Reed, Landry, Benjamin. That's how mine reads.
Yeah.
Brady? Yeah.
So I told you I played golf with Kramer on Sunday, and we had a good laugh, or at least I did. I think his was more despair about his keeper list. So
yeah, there should be.
Man, he's gotta unload some. He's got to do something. I don't know what it is. Shake him up.
We're going to come back to the Senators here, but I would just point out, they made that big trade for Antonio Brown a couple years ago, and the idea was that they were restocking their running back core. They got Giovanni Bernard in that trade. Bernard now getting edged out in Cincinnati by Joe Mixon coming in. And the other guy they got in that trade was the draft pick that netted T.J. Yeldon, who's now being phased out by, just 2 years later.
Yeah.
Yeldon and Bernard are gone, and that trade, the Senators have not really rebuilt themselves.
No.
Remember last year we said the Senators have like Tom Brady and a bunch of number 6 and 7 keepers? I think it's like that, but without the number 6 keepers now. I guess Tom Brady and a bunch of number 7 keepers.
7s and 8s.
What are the chances that we see the Senators keep the 2 QB strategy and keep Brady and Mariota?
They don't have Mariota anymore.
Mariota's on the Devils.
Yeah.
Wow, forget it then. Who cares? Yeah.
No, it's not a bad thought. I don't know who the backup is, but
They should really trade for Dak.
might not be a bad strategy.
All right,
Might
we're
be a good
jumping.
strategy. Maybe.
We're jumping ahead. Let's talk about the Senators anyway here. I mean, the big question is, do they trade Tom Brady? He's the only guy they can possibly trade.
To who?
The only team I think they would trade him to is the Mongols, but the Mongols don't have draft picks to give up. I mean, the Senators have got to explore that. I think Brady is the only guy they have to trade, and he's 39 years old or whatever. That's their only move, it seems.
What other players on this roster do you want to trade for? You know, that's his real problem is he doesn't have the weapons. I mean, he's got Jordan Reed, he's got Rob Kelly, he's got
Rob Kelly's
guys who are maybes.
Kelly's on the Beavers.
Who's his keepers?
He's got Reed and Landry. And I don't know if anybody would trade for Landry, though he's a useful guy. I think Brady and Reed are the two tradable guys there.
I mean, the problem with Brady is what are you realistically going to get? I mean, and there's no market. We talked about this on the last webcast. Last year there was a good market of what, 5 teams? I don't know. It was around that, right? The traded hands quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
This just doesn't exist this year. Chiefs got his quarterback. I have my quarterback. Phil has his quarterback.
I've sent you guys my projected keepers, and I'll send it around to the league when we send out the webcast here. But yeah, I've got everybody keeping a quarterback except the Mongols.
So there's no market. So even that to me isn't even trading Tom Brady is not a okay, you get a draft pick, but you're not gonna it's not a home run.
It's all he can do, I think. That's the issue.
No, I mean, I think he's got to think about trading some of those middle round picks to upgrade guys. Like last year, a 5th round pick for Doug Baldwin. Phil, I don't remember what you traded for Michael Floyd. Oh, that was part of the Carson Palmer deal, right?
Yeah, I got 2 guys for something, for like a 3rd and a 5th swap or something like that.
But he's going to have to think about some of those types. He's going to have to, I think, trade some draft picks to get some decent keepers instead of trading people who he doesn't have to trade for draft picks. He can't go that route.
No, you're absolutely right, and the Aliens did this a couple of years ago, right before the draft, getting some Roethlisberger, Watkins, Allen Robinson. You can give up some lesser draft picks and get back some talented guys in return if you play your cards right.
And I think that's the way you have to go here. I mean, Brady's going to have games. He's going to score 28 to 30 points. I mean, you really need that if you want to compete. Unless he's just going to mail in the season, you need those points. And it's a day or two before the draft is the ultimate buyer's market.
Right.
You can get guys that they're everybody else's number 8 keeper, for a 5th, 7th, whatever round draft pick, who will probably improve the roster, which is a sad part.
Chief, by the way, I think the guy that I have the Senators keeping that maybe you didn't is Josh Doctson.
Yes, that'd be correct.
That was the Redskin.
That was their 1st round pick last year, and again, I don't think they have other options other than Giovanni Bernard, so I've got them keeping Doctson. Let's flip this around a little bit and look at the Mongols. Again, the one team I'm not projecting to keep a quarterback. This is a team that's got Devontae Freeman, stud running back, Dez Bryant, stud receiver. Eddie Lacy, say what you will, but in Seattle has a chance to be a strong number 2 running back. Good young receivers in the form of Corey Coleman and Brashad Perriman. Jury's still out on both those guys. But again, especially with Devontae Freeman and Dez Bryant there, they bring in a stud quarterback, and that's a strong team right there all of a sudden. I would think they should be trying to go after Tom Brady if they can.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. You have the Mongols projected to keep Larry Fitzgerald, and the note that I made about that projection is I want to know how many years consecutively, or maybe even broken up, has Larry Fitzgerald been protected in the TFFL?
Probably every year since he was drafted.
Long time.
No, you picked. Didn't you draft him, Hank?
Ralph drafted him, I think.
And traded him to Ralph.
I had him for a while.
Or other way around, maybe. Yeah, he was in the draft a few years ago.
Yeah, I might have drafted him, but he's long in the tooth. Regardless, I think the Mongols, they've got some good players if things fall right. His receivers with Bryant and Cobb at the top. That's as good as a duo as you're going to get at the top. Yeah, they need a quarterback, and maybe they can find one in Drew Brees from the Hams. I'd rather have Drew Brees maybe or if you got the get him going back in.
We'll talk about the Hams.
Dak Prescott.
That maybe he's probably cheaper, huh?
I've already been talking to Terry, but we're not getting anywhere yet.
That's good. I don't think anybody should trade with you, Berto. I think everybody should let your players just wallow and go back in the draft.
He can have him cheap. Good young quarterback. Why not?
Yep.
Because you're trading with the enemy.
You can have him cheaper in the draft.
Chief, do I sense some disagreement that the Mongols are a good team without a strong quarterback?
Yeah, I would say that. I think they have one reliable running back. I think, frankly, I like Thomas Rawls rather than like Eddie Lacy over in Seattle. I have Jamison Crowder as actually number 7 keeper on the list.
Who? Jamison Crowder?
You could potentially make that case at the moment.
Yeah. So is Fitzgerald really playing anymore? No. He probably makes this team. Cobb is fine. He's fine. Pullman, we'll see. Cleveland's going to line up. So yeah, I would say there. Is there anyone else hearing that feedback? Or just me?
We're hearing it.
It's pretty bad. But I would say they're the pretty comfortable.
You made a point there that they only have one strong running back, and here's a quick topic of discussion. I don't think this is breaking news, but Hank and I have been talking about this all week. I don't think there's any TFFL team out there that has more than one strong bell cow running back who you can count on getting 12 touchdowns, 20 carries a week. Teams now not only are sharing the carries between 2 guys, there's often 3 guys in the backfield. Seattle, you can put out Lacy, Rawls, Procease. Cincinnati, we've talked about Jeremy Hill, Joe Mixon, Giovanni Bernard. So across the board, I think it's really tough to have 3 stud running backs and even to have 2 of them. I'm not going to throw stones at a franchise that, maybe in your case, Chief, LaShawn McCoy's a stud. Ingram now is in a threesome. Kenneth Dixon's in some sort of a threesome. I think that's just the case for most of us.
I hate to say it, but you look across the TFL landscape, and the Packers, after they drafted, they have the best trio.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, they're going to get another stud. They're going to have 3 really good stud running backs, and Gordon, Elliott, and whoever.
Our defending champions, the Lizards, if you want to count Jordan Howard as a guy who is going to get 20 carries a game for the Bears, fine. It's for the Bears, I would point out. And Paul Perkins, not quite sure what he's going to do. Nobody has – again, I think the Impact may be in a great position at running back, but the rest of us are lucky to have one strong guy.
Mm-hmm. The Impact has been horrible for a while. We get that.
Yes. So real quick, just rounding out the NFL draft, I know Berto, I know the Giant Killer is not happy about Joe Mixon landing in Cincinnati. That's a real threat to Jeremy Hill. Hank and I spent the first night of the NFL draft with Thornburg here. The Beavers running back core took a variety of hits in this draft. James Conner is a new backup to Le'Veon Bell in Pittsburgh. Probably not going to take a lot of carries, but talented guy there. Dante Foreman backing up Lamar Miller in Houston now. Might take some carries from him. And real competition for Rob Kelly. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Samaje Perine. to me, would be the favorite for the Redskins starting job at this point, from everything I know.
I think that was excellent pronunciation.
Good. So, we'll see. There's, there are suddenly a lot of talented running backs, I think, across the NFL, but very few of them in clear roles at this point. All right, let's talk keepers now. There's a lot of debates that owners are going to start having with themselves, and that we'll start having about those situations. Let's throw a few out there and see where they go. A couple big quarterback decisions in the making. We just started hinting at some of this. Let's talk about a team we haven't talked about yet, the Boba Fats. Matt Stafford has been their franchise quarterback for I don't know how many years now. They elected last year to keep Stafford over Jameis Winston. This year, the decision is going to come down to Stafford and Carson Wentz for the Eagles. On a whim, perhaps largely for the sake of some argument here, I just switched my projection to Carson Wentz. I think the Fats would love to keep the Eagles quarterback for the next 10 years. The Eagles have given Wentz plenty of weapons. What do you guys think?
Agreed.
I
Eagles,
agree.
Homer, done.
Yeah, I've had Wentz on.
It's got to be.
Roberto, you're on board?
Yeah, absolutely. With the weapons they've got, I'm an Eagles fan. And let's face it, they haven't won with so there's no hanging on their Wentz can be as good as Stafford.
Yeah, Stafford has been nothing that you need to be rivaling in and be protecting.
Stafford at times is a stud fantasy quarterback. At other times, I think I've said he looks a lot like Jay Cutler. I don't know if the Fats don't keep him, is Stafford somebody who enters into the trade equation? Perhaps for the right price, he does. Again, I think we're all talking about the Mongols, and then it's certainly a buyer's market for them. If you're looking at Stafford, you're looking at Prescott.
Who's trading for Stafford?
The Mongols,
Well,
I think, are the team that can quarterback.
Yeah, the Mongols are the only team that would do it, and then I think if Stafford's out there for a 5th round pick compared to people demanding firsts or seconds for the other quarterbacks out there, maybe he comes into play. The other big quarterback decision that I just changed my mind on is the Hormel Hams. Drew Brees was the guy they acquired last year. It seems like the obvious number one, but I wonder now if Jameis Winston looks like a better keeper guy for them. Tampa Bay is loading up with weapons for Winston. Young guy on the rise. Brees obviously getting much older. So I've moved Winston in as their projected keeper. Again, maybe just for the sake of debate tonight, but what would you guys do?
Well, it's funny because
I already did that. Sorry, but yeah, I hinted quickly that I think Breeze is really good still. I think Winston has to prove he's going to be. We all think he looks like he's the guy that's going to get it going. But so far he's been a little risky. And if you roll the dice just on him, you better have a good backup.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this last week, where you can make a case to chase Winston. But spurred by your team at the end of the day, I don't think Brees is so much. Michael Thomas is a phenomenal rookie here. They have other talented. Kobe Fleener's there. I think the Hams are very much short term. I'll be surprised if he's in quarterback.
I don't know. I like Winston. So many weapons, young. I don't know. I think the Hams are close. Right? The Hams got a good team, but I don't know. There's just too much talent around Winston and throw back. I think of an old Breeze.
I like the opportunity, the upside that Winston needs to have, but I think it's helpful to walk away from Breeze unless you let him go.
Can everybody turn my speakers down a little bit?
I think Stick is our guilty party. I gotta identify that.
Really?
Mute your mic for a second.
I just turned myself down. Is that any better?
Yes, it is.
Is that better?
Yes.
I think we're all testing now. I'm pretty sure it's Stick.
Testing.
Okay.
Not that we're throwing stones, but yeah, there's
Okay.
maybe a delay in the feed with your speakers. Do you have separate speakers that you usually use?
No, I do not actually. But I just turned my volume down. I don't know if that's better.
It's much better. The feedback loop's gone now.
Okay, good.
It is
Better. Better.
way better. Everybody's
All right.
good.
I'm hearing a little
Hank,
bit.
let me give you the next question here. We've been talking about this at work a lot.
Yep.
Important things to talk about during the day at Kiplinger. Your seventh keeper spot, it suddenly looks like you've got 3 running backs you might be choosing from. And 2 of them are on the same team in Denver all of a sudden, Jamal Charles and Devontae Booker, young and old there. Or the third guy in the equation is Wendell Smallwood in Philadelphia. Or the other option, of course, is improving by trading for somebody else. But where are you leaning right now?
Well, let's assume for a second that we're not going to trade, and I've got the guys on my roster that I'm going to end up using. It would be great to see if Wendell Smallwood would be the guy in Philly. I don't know. I mean, we were just talking about Wentz, and that's a young team kind of up and coming. I'd love to think he could be the guy, and that would be a steal of a late draft pick as a keeper. Jamal Charles is Jamal Charles. I hope. I don't know what he's got left. I think he's going to be tough to keep going into Denver, coming off of multi ACLs. Pains me that I'm not getting more out of him. And it also, it compromises Booker. And let's be honest, CJ Anderson is probably the lead back in Denver. That makes that a terrible situation. My hope, of course, is that out of this whole process of preseason and training camps and whatnot, that we get some clear definition, whatever is going to happen, so that I can keep the guys who are really going to have a chance.
I'll tell you, I like Sterling Shepard as a keeper over either one of those guys.
Oh, he's in. Shepard's in. Shepard and Julio Jones are kept.
Oh, okay. In that case, I like. But who is not being kept then?
I got Derek Carr, Julio Jones, Sterling Shepard. Those guys, those 3, and then we're going running backs.
Yeah.
Henry, Derrick Henry, DeMarco Murray, Doug Martin, and then who?
Devontae Booker, right? Okay, so you're talking about possibly not keeping Booker in favor of Charles or Small. I'm sorry, I spaced that. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know how you would trust Charles right now unless he shows something otherworldly in preseason.
Yeah, if he turns it on. It's interesting about Smallwood. The Eagles drafted another Smallwood type guy, Humphrey.
Stick, mute your speakers.
So we'll see what happens there. But I think Smallwood is a guy you gotta make room for him.
Exactly. We'll see. Because Chief's right too. I mean, Booker was a stud for me last year, and he looked good when he got the chance. But the fact they brought in Charles, compromises him a little bit. And the Eagles, who else they have? They got Sproles and Smallwood.
Ryan Matthews.
And Ryan Matthews is getting cut, I heard.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a long way to go, but I would love to see Smallwood as the lead guy there. That'd be great.
I like him.
Watch out for Danielle Pumphrey.
Okay. We'll see.
Wendell Smallwood. Smallwood's like 5'9", 175, and Pelfrey's even smaller than he is.
Yeah, he's the same size. Yep.
We'll see how it goes. I hope Smallwood emerges victorious.
We were talking about this at work early this morning as we were walking down the hall to get our coffee, and Hank wasn't quite so high on Smallwood as of 10 o'clock this morning. He was like, "Oh, is Matthews going to be getting the carries?" And we just happened to be walking by the guy in our office who's sort of Rabbi Anuzi Light, big Philly sports fan, and I stopped and I said, give us the lowdown on Philly running backs, and he was bullish on Smallwood.
He lit up. Yeah, he was very excited.
Got Hank very excited to start his day.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Let's talk about our defending champions, the Lizards, a little bit. Take a look at my projections for their keeper list there. We all know this team is stacked. They actually have an early draft pick this year as well. The big question is here is what are they going to do with Adrian Peterson, who is now signed with the Saints? I'm not projecting them to keep him at the moment. Can they get value for him in a trade? Greg Olson is another guy I don't think they can afford to keep. You go look at his numbers. He's, what a great tight end. You can plug him in every week. I would like to think they could probably trade him. But can they get value for those guys? Or will they try to trade one of their four stud receivers? Love that receiving core. Do they try to trade one of those guys instead in order to keep Peterson or Olson? Or do they just move forward keeping four great receivers and reap the benefits of that?
Yes, option C.
Yeah, I think I agree with Steen. I think a factor is they have the extra first-round pick, or do they have maybe two? I don't remember, but they have at least one extra first-round pick, which is number 5, maybe. So they'll get a good running back out of that. I think they'll try to trade one of those four guys. They tried to trade Evans during the keeper deadline. And it goes back to just being such a huge running back driven league we're in. Not a lot of owners want to trade a 20-touch running back for a receiver. Because the drop off is just that much more noticeable between just for sake of, look at my roster, just for sake of putting another team out there. Am I going to trade LaShawn McCoy for, Mike Evans? Well, no. Because what's the difference between Mike Evans and Golden Tate? It's a heck of a lot smaller than the difference between LaShawn McCoy and Chris Ivory. So, you play the names, but the drop off after the running back is so steep. There's not a lot of guys with the balls to pull that off for a top tier running back, anyhow.
Yeah, I think my argument on this is that the Lizards feel like they're right there again, and no drop off. They still got a great team, maybe the best wide receiver core of all time. But you got to look at those running backs and say it's an imbalance, right? You have such a fantastic group of wide receivers, maybe the best, four ever to be on a keeper list. So you got to be thinking, damn, I gotta parlay that somehow into improving my running backs, and I can make another run at this for years to come. So yeah, they gotta be thinking trading somebody, and they don't want to trade, one of the big three. They definitely want to trade Thomas, but they may package a draft pick or do something else, whatever they need to do to get that running back. That number 2, number 3 guy, they'll do it, I think.
I don't think Michael Thomas is that far below the big three. I mean, I almost put him on par with T.Y. Hilton in terms of what they're going to do this coming year.
That's fair.
All right, look at my keeper. Go ahead, Hank.
Sorry, I was just saying. I think they're standing pat. I think they've got 4 great receivers. I think they've got good. If Paul Perkins is risky, but upside with on the Giants where they run the football. I think Berkman stands pat and drafts well and makes trades later.
No, but I think that's the exact reason why they do trade, because it is risk there. It's not as if all running backs are going to have some risk, right? But
they are. There's nobody you're going to get.
But he wants that other guy that he can plug in the starting lineup right now.
Now, what happens when
Michael Thomas doesn't do that for him?
What happens when LeGarrette Blount signs with the Giants next week?
And Paul Perkins is not worth keeping.
Or that happens. That's a good point. Yeah.
I had a question.
I'd be happy to see that.
Not to get off the Lizards, because I think there's a lot that they can do, but they're pretty set. The question that I had in looking at your keeper list, I just want to raise before we move on here is, I'm looking at the Devils keeper list, and I want to know who their best player is. Who's the guy on that team that they're building around? Because I'm reading it as Kirk Cousins, Spencer Ware, Frank Gore, Matt Forte, Stephon Diggs, Deshaun Jackson, and Rashard Matthews. And some of those guys are decent players, no knock, but is Spencer Ware your best guy? Is Stephon Diggs? I hope he's number one, but number one guy in your roster?
That's a very, very good point. I have the same keeper list you do. And it's going to be a tough decision at quarterback, first of all. But
there's Mariota. That was the Mariota thing, yeah.
Mariota Cousins. He'll keep one of them, and it'll be a tough decision because, right now, neither one has very good weapons. But Cousins is leaving Washington after this year, so who knows where he pops up. I'd imagine San Francisco. But you're right. Who's the guy? Gore, I guess. But he's certainly not a long-term solution. He's not even a medium-term solution.
Let's see how Corey Davis pans out, too. If he looks like a stud in the preseason, that's certainly going to bump Mariota up. He was a number 5 pick overall, right? So
yeah. Well, is Rashard Matthews still in Tennessee?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
No? Yes. So Mariota to Matthews would be a combo we have there. I don't know, but still, I mean, I'm not trying to dig on any of these players as necessarily being bad or, maybe Deshaun Jackson is not very keeper worthy, or Matt Forte. But who's good? Who's the stud on that team?
How many straight years have we had this exact conversation about the Devils roster?
All of them.
Well, since he lost LaDainian Tomlinson and Priest Holmes.
It looks terrible every year, and to Nick's credit, he manages to make the playoffs most years, or at least be in playoff contention.
Yeah.
And it's not a terrible list; it's just a very uninspiring list. But if he adds a couple right pieces to it,
but doesn't it feel? I remember having this conversation, maybe last preseason or something, and the Devils keeper list looked really long in the tooth. It feels like it's younger this year, especially if either way, Cousins or Mariota, whoever you pick, it's still young. But last year, I just remember it being really old, and it doesn't appear as old this year.
Well, last year at one point he had Drew Brees as his projected keeper quarterback, and so that. But he's still got Frank Gore.
Yeah, Frank Gore is still there. That's true.
Matt Forte, Deshaun Jackson.
It's still old, I guess.
Yeah, I think the Brees Cousins swap helped that equation a little bit. But
all right, I thought he had somebody else last year too that he kept that was maybe not.
And you'll recall the Devils' early first round pick last year was Kristen Michael. Now out of a job in the NFL.
Great pick.
I would remember, but I'm sure you would.
Very disappointing. Berto didn't get a chance to grab him.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't waste a first round pick on him.
It's unfortunate.
So
I wasted
let me ask you guys.
turn.
You've seen the projected keeper list. Are there any other big topics, a la what Hank just brought up, that you want to raise at this point?
Yeah, Thomas Rawls will be on my keeper list.
My question, my questions on Berto, and I was looking at your list for Berto, is Jeremy Hill's impact and how much he suffers from having some more, company in the backfield. Gillislee and how his migration, whether that becomes something great. And at some point, this team's going to suffer, and I'm waiting for it. At some point, the Giant Killers are going to wallow in the misery of suckitude in the TFFL, and I'm looking for it. Maybe it's this year. We got it. We can hope.
I mean, at least I'm not going to keep Arian Foster this year. That's on the plus side. So
are you sure? Still on the roster?
So whoever I keep besides Arian Foster, hopefully I'll get more than 0 points for. So that's the good news. But yeah, Eric Decker, who's throwing to him. I guess there's some good news with Brandon Marshall. That was some good news, I guess, for him. But yeah, the Mixon, I saw that come across in the draft, and I was livid. But I don't know. I had a feeling for some reason the Bengals were going to do something like that. I didn't expect it to be Mixon necessarily, but that absolutely hurts for sure.
I don't think the Bengals did either, to be honest with you. The fact that he was there, they decided, oh, we got to do this. He's good, and so we'll see. Maybe he's a year away from playing. The guy is a total immature idiot. So
For some reason, the coaching staff seems really sour on Hill.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know what kind of guy he is. Not at practice.
So we'll
For as
see.
productive as he is, they really don't like him a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, but you raised a couple of good things, Stick. I mean, Gillislee. There's a lot of balls in the air right now. Gillislee, Rawls. What's going to happen there? Terrence West. Could be in the mix somehow with Dixon out. So a lot of question marks. But like I said, I still think better options this year, and my team is in a little bit better shape in terms of the keepers than it was last year. So I take solace in that.
If you don't keep Foster and Marshall, you skew a lot younger too.
Yep.
Well, if you assume Matt Ryan is going to come back with another big year, which may be a risky assumption given that Kyle Shanahan has moved on, but Matt Ryan at the top, Rob Gronkowski, if he's healthy, is a big difference maker in your lineup. You're not bereft. And then Jeremy Hill, Gillislee, Doug Baldwin, very solid guy at receiver. You're going to have a foundation there to build on, even if Decker and Brandon Marshall really don't do much next year. Even if Jeremy Hill takes a big step back, you're going to do fine, Berto.
Yeah.
All right, let me answer our trivia question. Again, a fairly benign one to start the season, but it sets us up as we start talking about the draft. How many receivers did we have in last year's TFFL first round? Get within one, and I will give you a point. I got 3 for Berto, 3 for Chief, 5 for Hank. The correct answer is 6.
Oof.
Yes!
I remember it being more than we would think.
Damn.
And again, with me projecting 0 at the moment in 2017, I will tell you in the last 4 first rounds, 2016, we had 6 receivers go. 2015, 3 receivers in the first round. 2014, 5 receivers. And 2013, 6 more. So receivers not quite as scarce as you might think in the first round. But again, we have so many.
What was the answer for was it 5?
6 in 2016.
Yeah, Macklin, Hearns, Doxson, Brown, Fuller, Matthews. I'll be damned.
Yeah.
I forgot about the rookies. I remember the 3 big veterans. I forgot about the rookies.
Yeah. I had one rookie and the 2 vets, but
So yeah, again, not as scarce as you might think.
Phil jumps out to the lead.
Different. What's that?
We're going to go ahead and recap the 2017 trivia scoring right now. If we they're bringing up the rear. Yeah, Berto and Chief are currently standing at 0 points, and leading the pack, leading the entire panel. Hank has 1.
All right, hey, good work.
Let's remember Hank
Guest with 0.
Yes.
All right, Chief. I'll turn to you for commissioner reminders and rants. I got one question you can answer, which is the 2017 schedule on the site already?
I have the site open in another window. Be happy to look at that for you.
I don't have to do anything.
No, we're getting close. I'm kind of excited about this now. We still have to get the rules process. I think next
NFL
month is
schedule
when
is
they
out.
renew the site.
5 weeks.
5 weeks, maybe those 2 weeks or 3 weeks with 6 teams on bye. And you know what? Let's talk about that for a second. Let's put aside the commission reminders. What is the strategy going in when you have? Let's go in a draft. Typically, a draft, I try to space out the bye weeks. Try to get covered for everything. Now we get 3 weeks, with 6 teams on bye. unless it's just like, dodging raindrops kind of thing. This hits everybody. At some point, you're going to be missing 4 or 5 guys from your 20-man roster are not going to be playing. So let me throw it to you. What's the strategy? Do you maybe load up your draft and just take the L on one of those weeks and protect yourself on the other 2? Or do you try to balance yourself so you're competitive all 3?
I think you got to stay competitive, but I think the other thing that's going to happen too is that there's going to be people scrambling on the waiver wire those weeks, more so than maybe people do to scramble to find somebody who they can plug in a typical year on waiver picks. So you're gonna have people, you're gonna have multiple picks in those weeks who are going to be immediately plug into the lineup instead of picking this guy because he could be something, in a few weeks, or you're going to have a lot of that, I think, those weeks.
I agree. A lot of picks turn into utility picks rather than long-term hedges or hopes that somebody's going to turn into something. And instead, you got to use your picks to plug the holes that the bye weeks can't happen. Yeah, I mean, ideally in draft time, you can cover a lot of this stuff, but with that many weeks and that many teams, and you don't know who you're going to be playing, and what if they're shorthanded and so are you in the same week? You think it's a loss, but it might turn into a competitive win.
Chief, I think it's a great question. I've already looked at it a little bit because, when the NFL schedule came out, I wanted to see where all my guys are. I think, and I mentioned this to you guys at one point, I've got Jay Ajayi, Carlos Hyde, and other guys all, there's one week where, I hate to say it, it looks like a loss already for the Aliens. Typically, I think my strategy and most people's strategies is you try to spread things out. In a 13-week season, I mean, just think about being in the middle of our season, being in the playoff run. You can't give up 1 week. Every week is so important. But yeah, I think this year that equation changes a little bit because you were just going to have weeks where you're so hamstrung. Go pick up a couple guys on the waiver wire to fill your lineup. But really having a chance to win, there may be weeks where you do have to write it off. And then the question is, how early do you make that conclusion? Do you make that conclusion heading into the draft?
Yeah,
and
that's
really amplify it?
I'm thinking in previous years, drafting, in the 8th to 12th rounds, is when I kind of look to make sure I have bye coverage with some of those depth receivers and part-time running backs. Maybe this year I don't do that. Maybe this year I just go, let me take the best guy there. And you know what? I'll deal with the bye week when it happens. And if I'm missing 7 guys in my 20 that bye week, I try to win with what I have, but not using that to set my roster. But since you asked, the TFFL schedule is up. So week 1, we have Sponge Fishermen at the Devils. We have Beavers at Mongols, Senators at Hams, Ampac at Wheels, Lizards at Fats, Giant Killers at Aliens. So now you know we have one inter-panel game coming up week 1.
Nice
Huge
work.
Alien fan. Huge.
I don't remember last time I had a week 1 out of division opponent. It's been a while, but I look forward to that.
All right, nice job setting the schedule, Chief.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'll repeat it several times between now and then. Between now and the draft weekend in North Myrtle Beach. Now what?
How many weeks
16
away?
weeks away. I mean, it's coming. It's there.
Are we under 20? We like
paid.
teens?
I think that
4 months away. 4 months away.
4 months.
All right, so we're into the teens in weeks. You got like 16 weeks or 17.
Yeah.
So I'll work with Nick, and people can start paying their dues and planning for that. We'll try to get the rules process ironed out in the next few days. Hopefully we'll see a big trade. I was working on a few things. I want to see if I can announce one here
I
tonight.
will too.
need a little more time. So maybe next time we'll have some trades to talk about, and maybe after that.
Have we crossed the in webcast trade barrier? Did we do that last year?
No, we haven't done that yet.
All right.
I'm trying. I'm still trying.
Yeah, me too.
All right, we'll maybe get together for another webcast in a month or so, after perhaps a trade has been made, after the rules have been set. Maybe we'll bring on the right guest who can help facilitate an on-air trade. But we'll have a few more webcasts before we get to training camp, and then we'll really kick it up again. But really, the 2017 season is underway. The NFL draft is done and gone. We have the player pool set. Now just trying to make sense of our keeper lists and start making some trades. We talked about a lot tonight. There's a lot of possibilities sitting out there, and that I think having all these running backs, spread out with lots of guys you can look at with upside. I think it's going to open up a lot of possibilities here. We've got teams like the Senators and Devils that we've talked about that perhaps need a talent infusion. And interesting, again, with the Mongols being a buyer's market at quarterback. They got a lot of options out there. They should be talking to lots of people. Sounds like maybe they're already doing that.
They should be talking to exactly 0 people. And use their second round pick in the draft to take whichever quarterback they want. Whether it be Stafford, whether it be Winston, whether it be getting Blake Bortles back. There's Brady. I guess they can make a move for. I don't see any sense in making a move for anybody else because they'll be in the draft.
I'd trade for Drew Brees.
We'll send out the projected keeper list along with the webcast here. I encourage all owners to take a look at that, start making your own projections. I don't think I've quite gotten to the point of making my position rankings yet, but that really is not all that far off. It's time to start getting ready. Be ready for the trade offers coming your way from Berto, and sounds like Chief has been active. We know Kramer will have some offers for all of us at some point. Time to get ready. 2017 TFFL season starts now. We'll be back here soon enough to talk about
Doug
some
Martin
developments.
What about Doug Martin?
Doug Martin in a car accident tonight.
What?
He's
fine. No problem. Bumps and bruises.
Okay.
And of course, we will always await that first big injury / car accident / suspension. Lots to come. Looking forward to seeing you guys again, hopefully in a month or so. Good luck in your off-season planning, everybody. Take care.
Yes.
Good night.
Hey, guys.
Good night, everyone. Look forward to the rules process, Thornburg. All right.